Exchange, Live Meeting, Collaborate, SharePoint, for something like $10 a month per person. So if you have 2 or 3 people in your company, you're talking about $30, $40 a month. And you can do. Now, what does that mean? I mean, the reason we recommend it to our clients is that when you buy Exchange, which is high-end email, you've got the server, you've got to store it somewhere, you have to have an IT person to maintain it. Next thing you know, you're into serious money. With this way, with cloud computing and that level, those productivity tools, they're a very good buy. You don't have the capital investment. And then also, if you have a downturn in business, or if you really don't want the service, you can cancel, and you're not out software and you're not out hardware. So overall, the ROI is usually very, very good in the short term.
Open source code. You know, and I'm not an IT person. I hear those words, and I think of Linux or Linux or whatever the code is that is for free versus Microsoft. And I think of Wikipedia, you know, that now is the predominant encyclopedia that's free on the internet. That my understanding, whether this is right or not, I don't know, it's all volunteers that maintain that. But there are others for a small business, like you can, I guess, now, if you know what you're doing, go open source for a telephone, a small telephone system in the cloud, right? So what would be your views on the pros and cons of dipping too deep into the open code environment?
Well, in business, there's something to be said that nothing's free, and we've heard that. But to your point, I mean, all those are options that you would have to consider. But when you're looking at, you know, what are the things that are important to you as far as confidence in whether it's an application or an operating system, what type of support are you going to have access to? How are you going to keep up on the host of security issues that hit not only Microsoft, you go down every vendor, whether it's Apple, whether it's Linux, other solutions, everybody is out there to attack and to break into those. As far as the application side, I mean, you're going to see a lot more on, you know, the open applications. Same thing. What kind of capability do you need, and can you get it out of that? And what is it? How is the support important to you? So I think those are some of the issues you might want to think about.
The thing I've always heard is you really got to be careful what you're doing and kind of be a techie yourself, maybe, I don't know. But I stay with, you know, the name brands myself, but I hear that evolving more and more so that, you know, these applications like a small telephone system, you can actually operate a call center off of the internet now, if you knew what you're doing.
Well, that's correct, you can. And if you do know a little bit of what you're doing, I mean, there's some technical people in here, you can do it. It's just a cost. It's a business decision. When you get to a point where you can no longer support it yourself and you have to hire staff, then those other decisions start making more sense as your revenue grows and you can look at getting some money. But the open source, you're dead on, exactly what you said. That's the history of open source. Hundreds, thousands of developers get together and create a product, great ideas. Wikipedia's latest of how successful that is. If you have an application that absolutely matches your business process, great. If you have an open source product and you have a very unique business process, and you have to start thinking about modifying that application, that's when it goes off the rails a little bit. So as long as you know exactly what you're using it for, and it has limits, and it's clear, and it's not a critical business. I mean, you have to consider, will my business crash if this crashes? If it doesn't, I'd say it's probably a good business decision in the short term, but then monitor it.
A question for you. With the wireless MiFi, if you're using a data package for your cell phone already, is the MiFi a replacement or is it an add-on?
It would be in addition to. So we do have solutions in place as well. In addition to the MiFi, a lot of our smartphone devices are now coming packaged as their own mobile hotspots. So you could use your phone as a mobile hotspot as well, when you'd be able to connect up to 5 devices. So.
I really like the idea of the online, working in the cloud, and kind of to a point that John had made there. When you look at the cost of what software is, and you're purchasing it legally, and you're buying the proper number of licenses, at those type of prices that you mentioned, John, it is really a great option. But my question really comes down to, what about connectivity at that point? I'm sorry, I mean, I work with Time Warner, I do CNN, and I have to access applications we have at work all the time, and sometimes I'm just want to kick the screen. You know, the reality is I have a great connection at home, but what is going to be required for that business if they have 4 or 5 employees, and what type of server access do you guys get back on your side as, or what type of speeds can they get on their application?
Well, it's going to be based on your infrastructure and the internet, because that's how you're accessing it. So it's not so much what we're doing on the operational side. And, you know, those are some of the complexities that are involved. If you have a problem, where is the problem? Is it your connection? Is it something broadly with the internet? Is it on the operations background? But, I mean, generally speaking, it's rare that we don't have some access to the internet. And even now, we look at devices like this, where it's like I can go any place and have that access. I think it really reduces the downtime that you may suffer. No different than if, you know, somebody unplugs your server in the back room, or you know, you get some water in the back room, and now all of a sudden you're out of business.
Yeah, when you're talking mainly for like a small business, and
Yeah.
you're talking to someone who doesn't have a fiber connection, who doesn't have a rebonded T1 or something like that, they're working with a DSL connection that's I think a 3 meg, in some cases 1.5 meg connections. Is the productivity there for 3 or 4 people?
Yes, yeah. And I would sort of view it as, you know, working at home and accessing something, doing my taxes, say for example, TurboTax online. I think it would be a similar type of experience and what you expect as far as what's the responsiveness going to be like.
And I'd like to piggyback on that. I think that right now the question has become, you know, not can I get connected, is the connection going to be fast enough for the application that I want to run? And, you know, we're not far away from, you hear 4G a lot, and 4G is a little open to interpretation, but at the end of the year, what's going to be launched on Verizon is something called LTE, which is the next generation of wireless infrastructure, and the speeds are going to increase from right now we're at a meg and a half, anywhere from it's going to be more similar to like a Fios connection, which is like a 5 to a 12 megabyte on the download. And you're going to be able to run these types of applications, and there's never going to be that question anymore. Is can the bandwidth handle it? So we're not far.
Before my concern there, because a lot of people are using their 3G cards instead of 1.5. You can access it, but are you going to be able to work efficiently as compared to having to actually load it onto your computer?
Yeah. And those applications, I mean, they're all optimized for that internet experience. So I think it's not just you're taking a package and putting it on the back end. All that's built for the cloud, but that's a great question.
Okay, we have times for maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
I was just going to make a comment that there's a way to set up a live point-to-point connection from your home office, just as though you're sitting in your office at the office. You don't lose your connection there. And it's very inexpensive.
I was going to comment too, and we've got 6 people that are running off of DSL in our office, and we've got everything we do is cloud or virtual. I mean, Salesforce.com runs that way. All our accounting, everything is done that way. And I mean, all run on the DSL, and we have no speed issues, connectivity issues. You know, I mean, and we all use Wi-Fi, and I mean we're really already there. We haven't had any connectivity issues or anything. So even with that, the basic of putting T1 on, speed's been great.
Okay, any other questions for the panelists? Any questions for me? No. We'd like to say thank you guys very much. Either leave them in your chair, or if I make it back there, hand them to me. Also, if you get a moment, stop by the exhibitors out in the lobby area. They've got a lot of neat stuff to show you. They're also going to be doing door prizes, so be sure to leave a business card in their little fish bowls where you see them. And the next session starts at 10:45.